Right, now I've changed the lighting a bit in the workshop here, so that it kind of concentrates on the machine rather than everything in the background. Right, so this is all about armature bar and a rear spring. So I've got here a Mickey Sharp's copy, or Dickie Sharp's as we used to call them. Look, this is what happens if you leave the heating off in the workshop. Bloody rusts up. Anyway, look. So here's the point I'm making, is this gap here. Okay. See this tiny little gap? Okay. There's not much of it. And there's not much spring doing the work. You could say from bolt to bolt, you know, the gap's going to be similar. But the reality of it is, as that pulls down, okay, that bit is doing the work, that small gap there. And some machines just run too fast and too sort of buzzy for that. I've taken all the front spring off just because this is what I'm concentrating on, that gap there, and I want to explain to you something. So what I did, I'm going to show you on my machines in a minute. I've got one down here, but what I want to do, I'm just going to undo that quickly. Okay, I'm going to do this. So that's that armature bar. Okay, absolutely square. Now, some of you will have one of my machines with this feature. Okay, and it depends how I want the machine to run. And a lot of my hybrids I carve a little bit of relief at, but do you see what I've done there? Right, now I'm going to take this off so you'll see I've carved relief in the back of the armature bar, makes that gap bigger. Now if I take this armature bar off here, okay, and you can compare the two together. All right, let's have a look there. Right, there we go. So the top one has the relief carved into it. The bottom one is perfectly square. That effectively lengthens the working, or the useful part of the spring. I mean, the whole spring does do something, but for my hybrid machines, I mostly carved this out so that just by using a bit of voltage and opening up the contact gap, you can use it for lining or shading, depending of course what you prefer your machines to do and how you prefer them to run. But that is how, if you've got, just look, if you've got a Mickey Sharp's and you've got spare armature bar that'll fit it, these are 41mm, and is it 41mm? Yeah, 41mm. Obviously it depends on the hole. It depends on the hole placement, okay, in the armature bar. But if you get a spare armature bar and carve a bit of relief in it, you can use a file. I use a grinder, and then you can see the difference there, and put it on, and you will notice a difference. Now, not necessarily in the speed the machine runs, more to do with the way it hits. It will run a little bit more bouncy. So I've got this here, is one of mine. Okay, now as many of you know, that mine are adjusted using, hang on, let me just put that in there like that. Now I've just cobbled this old set of coils into this rather nice frame that I've still not built. That's years old now, that, and I've kept it. But anyway, look, so the way it sits, obviously the gap is bigger on my machines anyway, because we're just relying on this 10mm hex as the sort of the spring shelf, if you like. So the way to adjust these is a 10mm spanner. Now note that armature bar is sitting flat right now. Okay, it's sitting flat on the coils. Right, now you can tighten this nut up. Right, so let's tighten that up a bit. I think it's already quite tight. Yeah, it's as tight as that needs to be. Okay, and then what we'll do to put a bit of tension in, we'll put a bit of pressure on that. Watch the armature bar. Now we've got a gap, and it's no longer sitting flat. There's not a lot of tension there, okay, but you can add it. You can add a bit more if need be. It's probably way too much now. Okay, so you go back down the other way. Now that's what that's done now. That's gone too far, and it's also loosened the bolt. All right, so the bolt has come loose because we're not, obviously it's a right hand machine and I'm turning it clockwise, so it's not going to loosen the bolt, it's going to tighten it up. Okay, so there's a standard shader, a little bit of play there, but I would normally put a shader about that much gap. Not really. Please don't do that. So let's just tighten that bolt again. Okay, let's just tighten that up. If I can see it, I've got my glasses on, but I don't think they're working very well. Here we go. I'm not sure about this lighting. Maybe I'll just use a normal lighting next time, but I wanted a highlight on the machine rather than me and the stickers and the stuff in the background. So I've tightened that up. All right, so we're now going to just, I'm watching the machine. That's probably somewhere close to what I'd set it at. Okay, depending what I want it to do, obviously. Maybe a little tiny bit more, and that's probably a bit too much now. But anyway, so once that's got a front spring on it, if you can appreciate that there would be a contact screw there, and depending how much tension you put on it depends how much pressure there is from the contact screw onto the front of the front spring, and you might see it push up on the front spring, or it might just touch it. You do want it to compress a little bit onto the spring, not a massive amount. Otherwise you will need to use more voltage to get the machine running. So it's all a question of a trial and error. But what you don't need to do, you don't need to bend any rear spring on my machines. I do want to cover one other thing. Now, if you've bought springs from anywhere, now I never cut my own springs. A guy called Frank at Wild Angel used to do mine, and I bought several thousand off him. Luckily, I'm in a lucky position that I've still got several thousand, and bless him, I know he wasn't well. I hope he's okay, but I honestly lost touch with the guy. Anyway, now a lot of spring stock, steel spring stock, it doesn't come flat, it will come on a roll. Okay, so that naturally means that there is a slight roll on a spring. So when you, if you look carefully, it's probably not going to show in this, but if you look carefully at that, okay, and then turn it the other way, there is a slight up bend this way. Always put it in with the up bend, so it is bending up, not bending down, because all you're going to be doing then is opposing the up bend. You want the magnets to pull down, not up, sort of thing. It is difficult to explain, but the way that all these other machines, you see, where you've got a bend in the spring, okay, from the moment you start using them, that bend, look at the that typical Chinese one that I made, did that have a bend in the spring? I can't remember now. It was that crap. But any machine, let's just say Mickey Sharps as purely as an example. I know some are fans, some are not, but let's just use them as an example. They use a bend or roll, whatever you want to call it, in that main spring, the rear spring. But from the moment that you start using that machine, that bend is wearing out. Okay, so the tension, depending how often you use that machine, before long that tension will have reduced as that spring wears. The spring might snap, it might just become that, hang on, I bought this as a really punchy colour packer, but now it's really a soft shader. What's going on? So you then need to fit a new back spring, main spring, and match the exact bend to what you had when you bought the machine. Some people do have a bit of an issue with that. With my machines, you don't. You get in touch with me, I can send you out a new back spring if need be. Obviously there's a cost involved in that, but and I try not to do that, to be fair. I have supplied people, you know, actual customers of mine, as opposed to, you know, just people that get them on eBay. But what I will say is that when you get one of my machines, they do come with spare springs. In fact, number two just sold to a guy over in Bristol, and shout out to him. Thanks for that. Thanks for believing in my product and everything. And yeah, it's fun chatting with you, mate. Nice one. Lucas, his name is, I think. And yeah, brilliant. I appreciate that. I appreciate your business all the time. And yeah, I put spares in there anyway, you know, as long as they're kept in the bag. There's a little bit of oil in that bag. There's no reason why you won't still have them in a few years' time. The springs on the machine won't break. Out of nearly 900 machines that I've built, I only have had one actually break, and that was because the customer took it apart, thought they knew better, put it back together wrong, and the spring broke. I went round their house that evening, fixed it for them. Luckily they were fairly local, they were only about 50 miles away, so I shot up there, fixed it for them, and they were sorted. Lesson was learnt from their point of view. So yeah, I've been sending spares out. You can use them on other machines. They're great springs, the Wild Angel ones. Yeah, look, so I mean, here's another example. I've got actually on my bench here this Pirat Pirate, or whatever you want to call him. I think he's out in Eastern Europe. They're building. He was great. This is rusted up as well a little bit, this frame. He sent me this many years ago. Did a machine swap with him. I think it was about 2008, maybe 2008, 2009, something like that. And he was after one of my machines, so I built one for him. He sent me this as a gift. Well, we'd cut a gift. I mean, we did a swap, machine swap, right? And so you'll note, look at that nice big gap there. Look at that gap between this. Now, he does a very similar thing as me, or I do a similar thing as him, whatever way you like. So he runs a flat back spring. This is adjustable. He uses a round piece of brass with a flat cut on it. I went down the easy route by using brass that's already got a flat on it because it's hexagonal. So I hope that, even though I have probably rattled on a bit too long now, I hope that that's helped to explain a little bit about armature bars and what you can do with them by cutting that angled bit of relief, or machining that angled bit of relief into it. You can make your machines do other things. Like I say, get yourself a spare armature bar. You can get them on eBay, whatever. It doesn't even matter if it's a Chinese one, whatever. Just get it and mess about, have a muck about, and you never know, you might hit a setting that you really like, and yeah, and it works for you. No harm done if you don't, really. And you know what, it's a great learning curve. The more you can pick up and learn about your machines, the better. So if nothing else, that's quite a good starting point. So thank me later. No, not really. Yeah, listen, take care, but do me a massive favor, okay? If you don't share this video, that's fine, but at least subscribe. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers for obvious reasons, and when I've got 1,000 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway. I don't know what that giveaway is going to be. Probably won't be a handmade machine, but it will be I think a bundle of tattoo stuff out of my workshop, a bundle of cool stuff. It'd be certainly worthwhile, and I'll send it anywhere in the world. That's fine. Okay, so we'll catch up on the next one. Stay safe. I hope you found the information useful, and we'll catch up soon.